Hello and welcome to Udemy Clone Part 7. I am Kamran Vidani, and in this video we will start our backend integration right inside our project. But before continuing, I would like to request, if you have not liked the Watch Me Code Facebook page, then please like it, and if you have not subscribed to Watch Me Code YouTube channel, then please subscribe and click the bell icon so you can get the updates. Before continuing, let me quickly review through our progress. Subscribe, and we have created our UI for our Udemy Clone. We have created our homepage, and we have copied this UI from Dribble, Educated Live Education Course Web App from Dmitry Kharaburoyosh. I cannot pronounce very well, and I am sorry for that. And we have created the Discover categories, my courses, etc. inside our sidebar, and we have our updated course by Kamran Vidani, that is me of course, and we have the points table and our profile link, and inside the right bar we have our streaming now, that is the current tutors that are streaming live right now. And we have the popular this week course, of course, and from where we can, if we click one of this course, we will instantly move to our new page, that is the preview page, and we have the player, and we have now watching, quick chat, course details, and all that. And now we need to connect it with our backend, and for that we will use Firebase, of course. And let's go. Great. So first of all, if we go to Firebase, and it will of course land me in some other project, and let me quickly go to one of my project, and let me quickly, well, let's use Find My Job for now. But you can of course just create a brand new project and add all informations. And let's quickly just, well, I have used this project for one of my live projects, and that project is as down. We will of course remove these tables and data, and we will of course switch to Cloud Firestore instead. So first of all, we need to integrate the authentication. So let's go quickly inside the authentication, and for sign-in methods we will use the phone method, and we can use email, password. And if you want to integrate the Facebook, Twitter, you need to add a couple of settings, like here it is giving us the complete setup. Add this auth redirect URI to your Facebook app configuration, and Firebase is providing us a learn more link so that we can click, and here we are. We can just go through these documentation and check how can we quickly integrate it, but for now we will just leave it, and we will use the phone authentication and email password. So I guess first of all, let's go back to Udemy, that is our local host, and let's add the Firebase project. So go to our settings and project settings, and we need to integrate it inside our web app. So let's quickly create an app and call it Udemy. And well, you can of course check this if you want to set up the Firebase hosting for this app, but for now let's just copy and paste inside our app, and we need to, well, for as we are using the node, and fortunately we have the Firebase library out of the box right inside our React. So if I go to our Node.js command prompt and I'll hit Ctrl+C so that I terminate the bad job, and I will pass the Y because I want to continue, and let's quickly add yarn add Firebase, and it will install the Firebase right inside our project. So we don't need to just import the Firebase app and all that. Instead we will just import. If you have watched my previous video, that was Cloud Firestore basic chat, it was actually in Urdu, and inside I have added the Firestore and Firebase using this method, and let this setup complete quickly. And wait for the turn until it completed perfectly, and we will create a UI for our sign-in method, and for that we need to create a new file. Let's go to screens, and inside screens let's create a new file and call it auth, or maybe, well, auth is good. And inside auth, let's quickly import React from React and quickly create, if we can, well, create the function and give it a name of account, and we need props of course, and inside we need to return the view. So first of all we will just add use state and use effect, and let's add constant, and if we can add view, set view equals, and we will use state, and for that we will of course use sign in, and or maybe we should use num view instead. and just return the class name auth view, and we will use flex, and for that we will I guess just remove the rel, and let's quickly add h1 class name equals sign in. And after sign in, we need to add a couple of things, and one is just give me a minute. And let's give it a font size of 18 and font B, and let's add is15 with font N, and quickly enter your phone number, and we will send one time verification code, because we will be adding the Bahara Iskandari. I am building Udemy Clone, and let's quickly add one more field, and that is the countries list. And for countries list, if we go to if we quickly Google countries list JSON, and it will give us a list of countries in JSON. Let's quickly grab this list, and that is name and code, but we need the dial code instead. Countries list with dial code, and yeah, great. Now we need to copy. I guess here is the list with above fixes and all the crypto fixed, Taiwan, and we need to quickly go through a couple of the settings. Same list with emoji flags. Want countries with lighter wrong here? No, I don't need that. And well, that is it for now. Let's quickly copy and go to auth. And now we need one more thing. Let's quickly, if we can just create a constant, or I'll create a constant instead. Constant countries list equals, what the heck is that? And if we can And let's quickly wrap the code to go through the, oops, that is a long code. Let's quickly create new file and give it countries.json and paste right here and hit Alt and Z to wrap the code. And here we are. Let's add const countries list equals and export default countries. Let's quickly save it and just rename it to JS instead. Rename, oops, oh, well, that was a mistake. Let's quickly create again and add const countries list equals and export default countries list. Let's save it, and we need to import countries list from countries. Perfect. And now we need a countries list, and let's quickly if we can just copy, oops, we need to create a select and we need to map the countries list, and here we are. Let's quickly copy and paste inside. Well, Sepsian Castle, I don't use separate folders for components. It's totally up to you. And let's quickly map the countries list dot map, and side just return the option, and the option will be, actually we need to show the country name, and under the country name, that is name, let's quickly add e.name, and we need to add a value, and the value will be the dial_code, e.dial code. Let's save it and remove the word wrapping and code wrapping. Give it a class name of input, or I put with is15 and font B, and quickly save and go to app. And now we need to change a couple of things, so let's quickly go to import, and inside the import we need to import star as Firebase, just a minute, let me quickly go inside. Well, add import star as Firebase from Firebase, and we need to import, if we have restarted, oops, let's quickly start it, yarn start, and we need to switch to our code so that we can get starting the development server. Let's quickly close it and go back. Great. And now we need to import nothing for now, and we need to change if we have used it. Let's go back and okay, we need to move to our code and quickly copy, and now we need to just initialize the Firebase, and if we can move it to Firebase and add a global variable so that we can just access it from anywhere. And let's add a global.firebase equals fire_base, and we will use global.firebase.initialize app. Great, now let's save it. And if we go to Udemy, and we need to change the current user status. So inside well, why not just add home page, go to sidebar, and we need to change here sidebar. Great. Now we need to somehow change the status so that if we have unauthenticated user, then we will add. Great. Go to app, and inside the app we need to change let's quickly create const and add init Firebase and give it make it async, and for right here let's use global.firebase.auth.onAuth state change, and inside we need a method that is user, and let's console.log the user. Great. Now we need to use a different approach for our return, because we will now move to the React Native context text thing, and for that we will use a couple of different things. And first of all, let's quickly create the app loader. If we can let's go to source, and inside the source we need to create well, first of all we need to create app root.js, and inside the app root we will create a couple of things. First of all, we need to change couple of things, and first one is we need to create one more and give it app context. We will store our global context right here, and for that let's quickly create import React from React, and we need to add an app context equals react.create context, and we need to use state. You will be wondering if why I'm not using the Redux. For now let's use the built-in app context storage instead of just external library, and it is far more easier to manage for now. And as we move on, we will use the Redux for sure, but for now let's move with the context, built-in context. Let's export default app context and save it. And now if we just go back to app root and let's import the app context from app context, and we will use import React from, or let's quickly add use state, use effect from React, and then we need export, or let's add a function and give it a name of app root, and inside we need props, of course, and for props we need to change a couple of things. First of all, let's just return the app context dot provider, and for provider we will need a value. Ta-da! And inside a value we will use get debug, and it will return if we are in debug mode. Set debug, use state, and by default we are we will set the debug mode to true because we are currently in development mode, and for that we need to use state true, and we will simply return the debug, and we need a set debug, of course, and let's just use the set debug that we have created right here, and we need an app loaded system so that we know we are outside of our splash and the app is loaded correctly. And we will quickly create app loaded, set app loaded. By default it is false because the app is currently being loaded, and let's quickly return the app loaded, and we need set app loaded equals mode equals set app loaded mode. Perfect. Now this is it for now, and we need props.children's. Great, let's save it. And we need one more thing right here, that is our app loader. Let's quickly create it. App loader.js. Well, I have got a message against if I am how do you decide between using context API in Redux? Well, Castriot, Gashi, I will personally inbox you, of course, but for now I recommend using the context API because it is far more easier, and in this project Well, I will define in your inbox. Keep an eye there. For now, let's move on to our project, app loader. And inside the app loader, we need a couple of things. First of all, if I just quickly import React, and I'll use state and use effect and export default, and I will use the function, of course, function, and give it a name of app loader, and just remove this thing. Great. Let's save for now, and we need the context, of course, and quickly import here. And if we quickly save it, and we need to return the app context.consumer, because the app context works in a way where you add a provider and you add a consumer, and for consumer we will gain an context, and for that context we will of course check if our context.app loaded, and it will get the app loaded right from here, app loaded method. So we need to add the context.app loaded, then we will grab this router thing, just quickly copy and paste inside the great. And if we are not at the loaded state, we just need to create the splash. Just quickly add a app context.consumer, and inside the app context.consumer we will use a sub context, and we will just return the splash and context, and the splash is the method we will quickly add here, splash, and we have the context, and just quickly return a div. I guess we should just use this app flags div, and for app flags I guess we should just keep it for now, and we need a method so that we know if we are loading the assets, load app, and we will use the context, and let's make this method async so that it just keep running in the separate thread, load app context. Perfect. Now we need to add an loading right here, but for that let's use a div, give it a class name of splash, and we will use ABS and ABC, and if we go to CSS and props, we are using the absolute for ABS for position absolute, and for ABC we will use top 50%, oops, left 50%, and transform translate will be negative 50% to negative 50%. Perfect. Go back to app loader, and now we need to add the logo. If I go to our sidebar and our logo is right here. Now let's quickly import the logo. But as we are inside the app loader, we don't need to just use the UI. If we can quickly add logo from UI, and we have a logo, and that is actually logo carol.svg. And as we are using the image source logo, so let's quickly copy and paste inside the image and quickly save it. Now we need to replace a couple of things. If we can quickly, let's quickly copy and cut to a new file, and inside the app.js we will use a different approach, and that is if we can quickly import the React from React, and we need to import app root from app root, and we need to import app loader from app loader, and we need to replace this one with function app and just return the app root, and we have app loader. Just export default app, and we need to save it. Now if we go back to where we are, here we are. We have a couple of issues. We have the first mistake is if we can go to app loader, and yeah, where it is, if we app, here we are, we need to just add a colon instead of the equal sign, and attempt import error. App root does not contain a default. I guess I forgot to, oh yeah, let's add export default app root. Let's save it. And splash is not defined. Why this app loader.js? Here this splash, oh, we need to add a constant instead. Sorry for that. Let's save it. And hash router is not defined, and we need to import all these dependencies. That is import, go to app loader and save it. And what else we are missing? Sidebar, and let's quickly copy these screens. And what else we are missing? Can't resolve the logo carol.svg. So for that we need to change, if we are, oh sorry, I am missing something. A logo Corel is, oh sorry, it is Corel, not great. Here we are. As we are, what we have, Musab replying to Musab. What is going on here? Ooh. Well, for now let's inspect, and we have at our splash. Now we need to import these classes as well, and just save it. Great, here is the Udemy logo. Now we need to go inside the app.css, and before everything we need to add this splash, and let's add a splash, and we have inside image, so inspect, and here we are. Let's add a height of 20 pixels. 60 is good, or maybe keep the 100. So let's quickly add height 100 pixels. Let's save it, and the logo will always stay the center of the screen, at the center of the screen, sorry. And here we are, perfect. Ta-da! So we need an animated image. We will create it later, but for now we are at splash. And if we go inside our app loader, we need to create a couple of things inside our load app, and the load app will actually I will use a couple of things. And first one is the if I am not importing, yeah, so let's import import star as Firebase from Firebase, and global load Firebase is this one, and cut and paste inside the app loader, because app loader is our least parent, and we need the init Firebase here as well. So quickly add here, and for that we need to change load app, because we are using the async. Let's use await init Firebase, and then we need to just change the for now let's save it. And if we go back to our Udemy, and we are actually returning the null, because if we are not logged in, we will just get the null. So let's quickly go and add if user, then let's console.log, and console should be you are signed in. Otherwise we will just add console.log you are guest. Perfect. So if we go, and great, here it is showing you are a guest. So we need to add the app loaded thing, that is set app loaded, and we need a context to access that. And let's quickly add a context and load app. Great, here we are, context. So we need to add the set context.set app loaded to true. So save it, and here we are, perfect. So if you have not seen the splash, let's quickly add a set timeout, and this is just for demonstration purpose. You are not bound to use this set timeout. So let's use 1500, and then just add. Here we are, we have our splash, and we are inside. And inside we need here, let's go one more time, reload. We have our Udemy, that is splash image, and we have this app. Great. Now we need to use the guest method if we are actually let's go back and quickly add const and give it is fire user, set is fire user equals use state is false, and if I am great. So we need to change set is fire user false, and here we will set it to true for now. Let's save it, and we are done with our app loader for now. And if we go inside okay, if we go to app sidebar, just quickly close the app root, we don't need it anymore, and inside we need to console. If we can just go to auth app loader, and we need a global system where we can store myself as a user. And why not just create a global method here, and let's call it global.fire. Great. And if we can add it to, let's add an ID, it will be the user ID, and let's add null and go to overload app, save. Great. Now we need to inside sidebar, let's add global.fire. Let's save it, and here we have the ID, and the ID is null, and if the ID is null, then we need to simply add global.fire.id, then we have this one. Otherwise we need to add a nav link, and nav link will be, if we are quickly, yeah, it is good. Let's add sign in, or maybe let's add auth and class name and icon, and the icon should be let me go to our icon set, and the icon set is this one. This one is the UI from Lindua, and let's go to quickly add let's search a user, and here we are. We will use portrait male. This one is good. Let's copy and paste inside. Let's call it icon dash portrait male. This one is by mistake. Let's copy and let's add sign in. And we are getting, let's add react.fragment, and we need to remove the react.fragment here. Great. Now let's go back, and here we are. We have our sign in method. Perfect. So if we quickly go back and let's add inside the sidebar auth, and we need to import the app loader, and we need to import the auth, and let's quickly import what we are calling it, account. So account, and give it a name of account page instead, account page, and export default account page app loader, and we have my course and auth. Great, let's save it. And where can I see this video if I want to watch it later? Well, we have a YouTube channel. Let me quickly send it to you and get back. And we have an account page, and let's quickly add route auth, and we have our account page. Save. Great. And we need one more thing, that is the label. If we can go to let's quickly check, click sign in, and here we are. Great, yuppie. Leave it for now, and let's quickly inspect, and inside the me and link we need to add CSS for that, and here we are. Wait, let's copy and paste right here. Oh no, here we are, account.me.link, and after a link we need to change the ICO, and we need to change the label. Let's save it. Great. Now quickly click and select the ICO and give it a width of 30 pixels. Height should be 30. What we are using, well, the photo is 50, so let's use 50 and give it a background of blue, and quickly use our global theme color and give it a border radius of 100%. Give it a color of white, and font size should be 24 pixels. Great. Now let's copy and paste inside the ICO, but for the ICO we need to add before, because we will be using the before to position absolute. Top should be 50% and left should be 50%, and it is going out of the box because we need to add the relative class. So that let's add transform translate -50% and -50%, and perfect. Now we need to, why we are adding some kind of padding or margin 0 or padding 0? Well, leave it for now. Let's quickly copy and paste inside the before, and we need to change margin right to 10 pixels. Margin right to 10 pixels, and just remove the CFF and font size, and quickly add inside the, where we are, here we are. So let's use CFF and S20 to S24, and here we are. Perfect. And we need the rel class as well, because it is going out of like. And as you have get the idea of the splash, let's quickly remove the set timeout, or maybe just change it to something like 500 so that it moves way more quickly. And for label, let's use font B. Yes, great, I like it. Now if we go to sign in and give it font B, here we are. And now we need to move to our account or auth view. So let's go to app and let's add auth view. And inside the auth view we have what we have the auth title, and we have auth line, and we have this input. So we have auth title, and we have auth line, and we have this input. Great, now save it. And if we can inspect and quickly add auth view and give it a width of roughly 300 pixels and give it margin of 100 pixels and 0 pixels, or let's give it auto. And for now this is good. And for font size, what we can just give it a font size of like 70 pixels, or maybe we can keep 50. If we have props and S50, quickly create S50, and font size should be 50. And for auth, just add it 50. And what else we have? We have 24. Let's quickly add it as 24 and save it. And here we are. Oops, I forgot to copy the auth view CSS. Let's add width 300 and margin 200 pixels and auto. And if we can well, keep this for now, or keep 400 for now. We can change it later, of course. And inside the app.css, let's quickly save it. And for title, we need to keep it. And for input, let's add width to 100%. And border should be 1 pixel, DDD solid, and padding should be 10 pixels. Border radius should be 10 pixels, and let's add margin to 10 pixels and 0 pixels. I guess we need to use this one is good. Let's copy and paste inside the input. And if we move to align, let's quickly add margin bottom to 30 is good. And for font size, let's use 18. Yes, 18 is good. If we can go to auth, and let's give font size of 18, or maybe let's use S20 if we have. Great, let's save it, and here we are. And if we can quickly compare it with something else, and why not I share one more thing, that is keep it for now. Next we need one more thing, that is an input. Let's quickly copy. We need to add the dial code as well, so that our user should know where they are heading. So if we can click and countries, we have a dial code. So let's add ename, and we have this bracket, and let's add e.dial code. Let's save it, and here we are. Great, we have the dial code right in front of our. Great, now let's add the Pakistan, and if we can, if we need to default value, then we will add a default value, and the default value will be +92. As I'm from Pakistan, let's use that. And here we are from Pakistan by default, but you can of course use your own country. Great, so next we need one more option, that is instead of select, now we need input, and for class name let's use this one, and let's remove this and add this one. Great, and the placeholder will be the phone number. Let's use 0300 for 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. This one is the phone number format from the Pakistan mobile network, and let's quickly save it, and here we are. Perfect. One more thing, we need to change the box sizing to border box because it is going out of the box. So let's go back to app and give it box sizing, border box. Let's save it, and here we are. And for default, I guess just increase the font size to 24, and we don't need any default value. Let's save it. And one more thing, we need only the numeric input, so for that we need great. Let's quickly add the button, and we need the button should be called continue, and give it a class name of button S18 font B and CFF. Let's save it, and if we can go to app and the auth view button, if we have added the button globally, let's save it, and we need to add, right click, inspect, and quickly copy the CSS from our input, copy and paste inside the button. And we need to add background to red, and the red will then change to our theme color. And for border, if we can use great, so let's copy and paste. Oops, where we are, here we are. And for button hover, let's use, where we are, the background color to something like, great, background, great, and here we are. Let's save it. I guess we should change the font size and use a large font size. Let's use, oops, here we are, let's use 24, and great, now we have our sign-in form ready, but we need something more, that is the numeric input, because we will add the numeric only, because we don't need the user to accidentally input the AD, PD. We need only the numeric input, and for that we need a couple of things like a separate numeric input class. Let's create it quickly and go to screens, and I guess we should just start creating a new folder and call it what should we call it? Let's call it comps, and inside comps let's create a new file and give it numeric input.js, and we need and we need the component only, and let's create a function, or maybe let's use class for now, because we will use a couple of referrals and all that, and it will mess up with forward ref and all these different limitations, or that is for hooks and all that. So let's create an class and call it numeric input, and inside the render we need to return the input, because we will just use the input values. And first of all we need a default value, and for default value we will use let's add const props equal this dot props dot default value, then we will add props dot default value. Otherwise we will just add empty, and type will be props dot type or text, and class name will be props dot class name or empty, and we need a placeholder, and we need props dot placeholder or null, and we need an on change, and on change we will add props dot on change, props dot on change, otherwise just an empty method. And we need one more magic key press, and for key press let's use an event, and for event we will use var, or let's call it let what should we call it? Let's call it char code equals event dot which, then we will use event dot which, otherwise we will use event dot key code. And then we need text, and the text will be event dot target dot value, and then we will change if props dot, what should we call it, props dot, well we will add if num only in props, then we will, let's use a single statement instead, num in props, and next we need and char code equals 46, then we need let's add, if we are asking for numbers or a decimal, what should, well, for now let's use it. If text dot index of dot, because if someone is trying to type a decimal number, then we will just add this stop, and the stop will be what should we call it? Let's add a method, and for that method hold on. And we need, sorry, I wasn't, let's quickly add event dot prevent default and event dot stop propagation. Else what we need, if num only is absent, then we need to check if char code is greater than 31 and we need to check again char code is greater than 48 or char code is greater than 57. These all numbers are actually for a numeric only, or if the character code is 48, 47 or lesser, then we are actually typing the alphabetical characters, or if we are typing the character code that is greater than 57, we are using the alphanumeric alphabets. So for that we need to check let's just duplicate it. And we need a return true. Great. Now save it, and if we quickly go to auth, and instead of just importing the using the regular input, just quickly import numeric input from comps numeric input. Perfect. Now just replace it with numeric input and rest is good. And if we save it and go to the Udemy, and if we type oops, we have some error and each child is unique key prop. Well, for now, why don't we have this numeric input? Just quickly go back and check what is going on. And if we have some sort of oh sorry, that is not witchy, it is even not which, oh, my bad. And the next thing is event.target.value, and if number only in props and char code is 46, let's quickly console.log char code. What is going wrong? Let's quickly type, and we have ABCD else. Great. Now I guess it is working now. If we just remove it and let's use, yeah, great. If I am typing ABC, it is not working, and if I type 1 2 3, it is working perfectly. And if I check 1 2 3 dot, it is not working. Perfect. Now we have the numeric only input, and we need one more thing, and that is a loading bar. So quickly let's create a cover, create new file, create a cover. Yes, and for cover we need to add a couple of more things. Let's add cover extends component, and we need to add a constructor props and super props, and after that we need to add a state, and inside this state we will add a loading is true, loading not loaded, loading true, and success will be this dot props dot success or false. We will use this success to show a tick if everything is working, and for render method, if we can just remove it and quickly use div class name cover, and let's use absolute, and we need the ID if in case you are using this dot props dot id, this dot props dot id, otherwise we will use underscore cover underscore, and we need div class name abs and abc because we are using the absolute and absolute center, and it will be center inside its parent, that is this cover thing. And we need to add a loading method, and the loading method should be from, what should we call it? I guess we need to create one more new file and call it loading.js, and what should we call it? Well, I guess I should just hard code for now, or maybe loading.js, and let's use const export default const, and the const will be loading, or maybe just loading, and we will just return export loading, and it is actually export default, and we will return div class name will be let's call it loading, and for loading we will use rel, and we need div class name equals line, and line 1 and line 2, and we have line 3. Great, this is it for now. Let's save it and go back to cover and just import loading from loading, and just use loading. Great, now save it, and if we go to auth and just quickly if we are now we need to quickly import the cover from comps cover, and just quickly add the cover. Let's save it, and if we can go and check if there is some React must be in scope and using JSX loading.js. Let's go to loading. I guess it is not accepting the just export thing, so let's quickly copy and import React from React and use function instead. Function loading और उसके let's save it and use the capital L instead, because React hates and function loading. And let's save it and go back and just import loading from loading. And we need to embed the loading as a class now. Loading, and go to loading, and great. What else we got? Here we are. And now let's quickly sign in, inspect, and here we are, cover. And we need to add global right here, or let's put it inside the props. Let's add cover, and inside the cover we have this loading thing. Let's add loading, and we have line, and we have line 1, line 2, line 3. Great, let's save it. And now we need to add and go back to okay, if we can minimize it, here we are. Now let's select the cover. We have cover right here, and we need let's quickly get cover, top 0, left 0, right 0, and bottom should be 0, z index should be 2, and background should be white. But it is actually a little transparent, yeah. And let's change it to hex, and inside the cover let's use 0.9 and save it. Now we need to create the loading effect, and if we can, let's go to cover, ABC, and loading, and we need to add a width of 200 pixels and height should be 6 pixels, and position is relative already. And let's add background of E5, 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 and border radius should be 5 pixels. And great, now quickly copy and paste inside the loading. I guess we should just use N595 actually. So let's go back, and for line we need to change it to something like line, and it should have let's start with left to 0 pixels, and width should be 25%, and position should be absolute, and let's add top to 0 and bottom to 0 pixels. And if we can use background color to something like blue, and border radius should be 5 pixels as its parent, that is loading, and we are good to go. But for now let's quickly change it to our theme color, and let's reset, and let's quickly copy and paste inside the line. But for line we need to change a couple of variables, and for line 1 let's add left to 0, and if we can change opacity to 0.25, and let's add a width of 25%, and quickly copy and paste inside line 1. And for line 2 we need to change, well, let's use same for line 2 and same for line 3 for now, but we need to change the animation. And for animation we need to add a couple of things, and first of all let's add a quick animation. Let's go to, oops, we don't need that. We need to create an animation very quickly, so let's create a keyframe. Let's quickly create add keyframes and give it loader lines, and we need to add 50% and left should be 75%. Great, now we need nothing else. Let's quickly save it, and now we need to go back and quickly apply these to loading line. And for loading line let's quickly add animation name, and that is loader line. I guess I'm typing the name quickly, loader lines, it is not line, loader lines. Great, and what else we need? We need animation duration, should be 2 seconds, and let's add animation iteration count to infinite, and we have our line loading perfectly. And let's add animation fill mode to forward, and I guess we are done with that. Let's copy and paste inside the line. And what else we need? Let's add animation delay to our line 2, and let's add animation delay to something like 0.1 second, and here we are. Great, and if we add animation delay to 0.2 seconds, and we have our 3 lines working perfectly. Let's copy and paste inside the line 3, and for line 2 is 1 second. Here we are. Now we have our line animation working perfectly. Great. This way we can create a nice and easy animation. Actually, I have seen this animation somewhere on CodePen, or it is not directly my creation, but I have copied this method from someone else. I forgot to mention his name, and actually I forgot his name, so I can't really mention it. And if you are the creator, or and if you have you are the owner of this animation, so please forgive me because I can't really remember your name, but I like the method, so I thought why not share it with you. So go back and inside auth, now we need to add const loading, set loading, and give it use state of false, and let's add loading equals true and cover. Perfect. Now save, and we have our assign method back. Well, this is it for this video, and in next video we will continue. But before leaving, if you have not liked the Watch Me Code page, then please like it, and if you have not subscribed to Watch Me Code YouTube channel, then please subscribe and click the bell icon, and see you in next video.